Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you all to the Peabody Conservation Commission public meeting. Today is Wednesday, January 20th. Because of COVID-19 pandemic, tonight's public hearing is being held by means of a Zoom webinar so that we can stay safe and meet the requirements set by Governor Baker. I will read Governor Baker's order suspending certain rules regarding public meetings. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general laws, chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so on matters not requiring a public hearing, we will post on the City of Peabody's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording as soon as possible after the meeting. Individuals may participate remotely in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom. So we will take questions after any presentations and any questions or comments from the commission. Tonight, I want to welcome commissioners that are present tonight is myself, Michael Rizzo, I'm the chairman, Bruce Cormack is vice chairman, Stu Lazarus, secretary, Arthur Athis, commissioner, and Amanda Green, commissioner. And all have voting privileges this evening. Our first item on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance. It's a continued request for a full certificate of compliance is made by Curtis Young, environmental consultant, wetland scientist, on behalf of Group 1 Automotive, DEP file number 55-832. The project is entitled Proposed Inventory Lot. The address is known as 0 Willowdale Ave, Map 39, Lot 29 and 23 in the city of Peabody. Will Pollitt had submitted a memo relative to stormwater system, but Lucia contacted me a short time ago, and I understand that they've requested a motion to continue.
Yes, that is correct.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second? I'm continuing this to our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
You want to do, we need a roll call for that, Lucia?
Yep. Who made the motion? I thought I heard Stu.
I
made the motion.
And the second by Bruce?
Yeah.
All right, and roll call. Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack.
Yes.
Secretary Lazarus.
Yes.
Commissioner Athis. Oh, you're muted.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, it passes unanimous. Hopefully on 2/17, we will be able to get this off our plate, hopefully.
Great. Okay. Item number 2 under request for certificates of compliance is a continued request for a full certificate of compliance made by William Manuel, Wetland and Land Management, for Roy Simios from Peabody Municipal Light Commission for DEP file number 55-840. Project was known as the PMLP substation at Russell Street. Lucia, I think, did Roy request a continuance?
Yes. We're hoping for February, but the February meeting 2/17, but a lot can happen between now and then. They still don't have the as-built created or drafted yet. And between now and February 17th, we could get some crazy snowstorm. So if the timing works out perfect and I can get the stuff and get out there and do a site visit, mostly what I'm concerned with on the wetland side is, remember they were supposed to replicate where the old substation was. That's like my main concern. And then of course I need Will Pollitt. I need his brain for the engineering side of it. So a continuance would be wonderful.
Okay, so we'll continue anyway for the next meeting, which is February 17th.
Okay. Motion to continue?
Motion to continue?
Second that motion?
So who made the motion? Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, Bruce made the motion. After second,
Yep, and I'm going to do a roll call. So motion made by Bruce, seconded by Arthur. Chairman Rizzo,
yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Okay, cool.
Do, Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Okay, so that would pass 1, 2, 3, 4 with Stu not voting or voting present.
Well, I would vote yes. Lucia?
Yep, so I
I
do
would
have
vote
4.
Oh.
Oh, did I
I
not
didn't
call?
hear my name, but yes.
I didn't? I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry.
Maybe I lost my mind. I don't know.
2, 3,
Stuck in
4.
that.
So it passes 1, 2, 4 unless Stu's back. No Stu? All right, we lost Stu.
I got muted accidentally.
Okay,
I
good.
vote-
So
I
Stu
vote
and-
yes.
Great.
Okay. All right, item number 4 is also under request for certificates of compliance. It's a request for full certificate of compliance as made by John Kelty on behalf of Omni Development, TEP file number 55-722. The project never commenced and the permit is expired. The address is known as Lowell Street and Route 95, map 35, lot 27.
Mr. Chairman, John Kelty for the applicant. I had in fact represented members of the Boston Muslim Cemetery Association, which had advanced a permit for a new cemetery to take place out in this same piece of land. You've granted that. We're waiting for the appeal periods to run. In the meantime, I filed both this and the next request for certificates of compliance, which was work never undertaken to be undertaken in order to build a CVS. Those have since expired, but they still stand in the record. So we're here this evening asking for asking for certificates of compliance for both those projects in as much as they were never begun. Thank you.
Okay. So that's closed now. Is that, Lucia, is this closed as of tonight?
Well, so 55721, I don't know if you remember, this was,
I do. The CBS?
yep.
Yes.
So there was 3 orders of conditions. One of them, Sharat Hayam, they already got their certificate of compliance like years ago. They like closed out, I can't remember. They reconfigured their road because at one point
It
we were
was an
supposed
adjustment
to
the parking area. You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
so they already got their certificate of compliance on, I think it's like the 723. I'm pretty sure it's
Yep.
that. So 55721 was for CVS, and then 55722 was it was supposed to get reconfigured if CVS was built. It was supposed to be a wetland restoration project.
Correct.
So neither of these are happening, and the row, everything, basically, if you, my notes said, you can check off the invalid order of conditions, that it is hereby certified that work regulated by the above referenced order of conditions never commence. The order of conditions has lapsed and is therefore no longer valid. No future work subject to regulations under the Wetlands Protection Act may commence without filing a new notice of intent and receiving a new order of conditions. And as he said, they are currently in the appeal period for the cemetery.
Oh, it's under appeal?
The cemetery is. Well, no one's appealed it, but it's under the
We're-
appeal period.
Oh, the
'cause
appeal period. Okay.
Yeah, I just
Correct.
issued it, I think, on the 14th, and I think it expires the appeal period expires next week. And I did hear there was an attorney who was at the meeting, but I haven't heard. I sent him the order as he asked, and I haven't heard from him yet. So if there is an appeal, we'll know, by that appeal date, because he has to let us know by law.
Okay.
At least that's how I understand it.
Do we have a new DEP number yet? A
Yep.
file number?
Yeah, you guys issued an order of conditions. It's already it's out the door.
Yeah, we already did it.
Okay, all right.
Okay. With
Is
that,
it done? Okay.
Did you guys want to vote on 55721 and 55722 together to issue a full certificate checking off the invalid box?
that's correct.
So moved.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, so I have a motion from Stu. Do I have a second?
Second,
Seconded by Amanda. I'm going to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes,
Commissioner Athos,
Yes,
Commissioner Green.
yes,
All right, great. So both of those full certificate checking off the invalid box.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack. Item number 5 on the agenda is also under request for certificates of compliance. It's a request for a full certificate of compliance as made by Peter Blaisdell Jr. from Williams and Sparges on behalf of AM Concorp, Patrick Coburn, for DEP file number 55-865. Project was the construction of a commercial building and a parking area. Demo and rebuild stormwater features and parking. The address is known as 3 Mount Pleasant Avenue, on Pleasant Drive, map 29, lot 6 in the city of Peabody. So, what's on the table is maybe issuing a partial certificate. Did you want me to read your note? Lucia?
Greg Hawkmith is here. I don't know. I promoted him to a panelist so he can share his screen. If you wanted to hear from him first, and then
Okay, yes. Thank you, Greg.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while. I hope everybody's well. Greg Hawkmith from Williams and Sparges, representing Pat Coburn for the request for certificate of compliance for 3 Mount Pleasant Drive. You may recall this property. It was a little yellow house that I think was a florist at one time, kind of down near the Outback Steakhouse, that little road there, Mount Pleasant. It was the second lot in on the right. Pat Coburn built a commercial building there. We were before the commission a couple years ago. The project's done. Everything looks really, really good. We had a site visit with Lucia yesterday, and actually Will Politz joined us towards the end. And originally, we thought we were going to be coming into this hearing tonight requesting a partial, because I was sure that we had some language in our notice of intent that required the plantings that were installed to go through 2 growing seasons. I went back and I looked through everything, and I didn't find anything in our notice of intent, the plans, or the order of conditions. But with that said, they've been through 1 growing season. They're doing well, with the exception of 1 arborvitae that Pat, 1 or 2 arborvitaes that Pat put in as screening plantings between him and the car wash that's through the woods out back. I don't believe that was a planting that the commission ordered. I think it was something Pat wanted. But we also received some comments from Will late this afternoon, none of which are deal breakers. I can go through them real quickly. Our as-built plan that we submitted, it didn't show the subsurface infiltration basin that was out back underneath the parking lot. So Will wanted us to show that. and I'm going to flip back to this plan. I've got a revised plan here, and you can see we've added it to this plan along with the invert data that he was looking for. And he also wanted some data on the infiltration trench that was put in behind the parking lot. The infiltration trench was actually larger than it was supposed to be, but Will wanted us to put some of the invert data on there. We've done that. And then the third comment that he had was with respect to the infiltration basin. He says that it doesn't appear to be built out to the size of the approved basin. It's a slightly different shape, and it's slightly smaller, but when we ran it through all of the storm events through HydroCAD, it still handled all the storm events. The amount was slightly less during the storm events than what the design plan showed, but a negligible number, and certainly nothing that would impact any flooding off-site, both in Mount Pleasant and to the adjacent wetland. We got it late. Lucia hasn't even seen these revisions or a response to the comments, but we feel like we have everything in place to satisfy Will and hopefully get a full certificate of compliance. So we don't want the commission to waste their time issuing a partial, and if we need to come back to the next meeting to request a full, we're certainly willing to do that rather than get a partial now and then come back and ask for a full. I know I just said a lot, but I think at the end of the day, the project was a win. I think it came out really well. They had a bunch of hiccups along the way. We really had to hold the contractor's hand. And one thing I do want to point out, when the erosion controls do come out, Lucia noted that we just need to be very careful because of the steepness of the slope adjacent to those wetlands, that the buried flap is going to have some loose earth, that we just carefully remove it and make sure that it's stable as we go. So I told the Coburns that I was willing to remove those erosion controls for them, just so they don't end up with any more issues out here.
Okay. Well, seeing that we just seen this plan tonight for the first time, the updated plan, does anybody feel that need to take the time to look it over, or does Will Pollock need to see it? Can we issue a full certificate tonight, or should we just wait till next meeting?
I believe we should wait till next meeting, but I want to make sure that everything was covered, but also we need these, and I can't see I haven't seen the plan, but it needs to be stamped and signed. And I don't know, it's the building itself, I think it looks terrific. So that was a good job on that one, but I want to get all these little bullets taken care of, before we sign off on it.
Yeah, are the signs in?
Yes, the signs are in, but Lucia had a good idea. The granite bounds are in and the signs are in accordance with what was required. But Lucia thought it would be a good idea to put the City of Peabody placards on top of those bounds as well, the little triangle ones that you have. And Pat Coburn's daughter, Kayla, was on a site visit with us, and she said she'd be more than willing to do that. So that's something that we'll put in. It wasn't required, but I do think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So my 2 cents, Michael, and I know procedurally, and Lucia's you decide this. I've been to the site. I thought they did an excellent job until I read Will's comments that the basin was undersized. I thought the whole site was at an excellent, condition. If Greg says no, even though it handles it, I tend to go with that. So I have no problem voting tonight, but if you guys want to wait, we wait.
Yeah.
For the chair, I kind of would want to hold off until Will, can give his input and respond to what was presented tonight. I feel wait another meeting. It'll be a very quick one if it's going to be a full certificate next time we meet. So
All right.
that's my.
Yeah.
why don't we do that then? I think I'm good. I'm good with the plan. So once Will says okay, we'll just do the full certificate. That's okay with you, Greg?
Absolutely. We've waited this long. Another meeting's not going to kill anybody, and I think it's a lot cleaner if we can get Will to give it his blessing.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody here want to speak on this matter other than us? Is there anybody here, Lucia?
Nope, there's no members from the public, and it's a public meeting, but this isn't like a public item. But I would just say I'm fine with whatever the wish of the commission is. But when you guys do go to vote, if it's next month or tonight, the O&M, I would put the condition on the certificate that the O&M is in perpetuity. And then it looks like the long-term operation and maintenance plan and the snow disposal guidelines would both be in perpetuity, as well as the granite posts in perpetuity.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, so why don't we, so you'll take care of Greg on the upgrading of the signs?
Yes, I guess that's a good question. Lucia, I'm wondering the best way to get those signs, because I know City Hall's closed.
Yeah, I should be at City Hall Friday morning. But I can let me get them in my possession, and then we can figure it out. Like if you're local or something, I can always meet you somewhere,
Okay.
or meet you in Peabody or whatever, or back on the site if I need to go back out. But I'm planning to go to City Hall at least for an hour on Friday, so I can grab a whole stack then.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll work it out with Will, and I'll reach out to you to find a good meeting place.
Yeah, and then just one other last thing. There was a condition. You probably are going to also want to have it in perpetuity. So there's like 5 conditions in perpetuity, or 4. Only low phosphorus fertilizer is allowed on this property. And I think that one is an important one. Not that I can really police that or anything, but at least we have it in writing.
I heard through the grapevine that phosphorus-based fertilizers are being banned, and in Massachusetts, you're not even going to be able to buy them anymore. It was secondhand information that I got. I'm just not sure how accurate it is.
You cannot buy them.
Okay. That's right. You would know. Yep. Doesn't mean they can't go to New Hampshire, I guess, and buy them.
And one last thing, this was the only thing that was like kind of keeping me up at night. Do we have evidence that those porous pavers are porous pavers? They're shown on, like in one place on the plan, I thought I saw that it said brick.
Yes, they were installed per plan. We confirmed that, but I will get the manufacturer's specs and just send you that so you have it for your file. I remember that was something important that we discussed during the permitting process. So I'll be sure you have information on those.
And then the other thing that's really not wetlands related is the sidewalk is basically a parking lot right now. I actually parked on it, and Will came up and was like, who's parked on the sidewalk? So that's another thing. I mean, it is kind of important that that sidewalk gets built, and there's supposed to be grass, and there is not. It's just, if you look at the as-built plan, could you bring it back up, Greg?
Sure. Let's see.
I know you guys thought this was going to be easy, but I mean, it is easy. It's a small file, but there's a lot of little things too. And the sidewalk and not having grass in the front, it actually says grass on this as-built though, and it's not grass.
Yeah, so the interesting thing with this as-built, when we did our field work, it still was grass. I think the finish coat that they put on went right over those little islands. So we'll update the plan accordingly. And I remember Will said, even if we striped that just to say no parking, to keep people out of there and remind them that a sidewalk was there, he'd be fine with that.
Yeah, we should add that. Add that to make sure that we have that put in there, the pavement markings.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that it still said grass in the as-built plan. Yikes.
But the problem is if there's not a demarcation from the road, like I just pulled right off the road onto it. You know, it's like when people pave in front of their house and then you just park there. It's like that right now. And I mean, this is a road where people need a sidewalk. So
Yeah.
I mean, and the grass is, I mean, this is going to dump into the stream. So it sounds like you guys did the plan and then on August 20th, and then the contractor came back and did what he's been doing this whole time, just doing whatever he wants. And that's kind of frustrating to me.
Yeah, let me look into that. I'll find out. I'll look into that and get back to you.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yep, understood. Okay. I have some work to do.
Okay. Very good. So we'll continue this for our next meeting.
I have one question still. And this is just a clerical thing. On the minutes, it says 3 Mount Pleasant Drive, and on Will's letter, it's 3 Mount Pleasant Street.
Yeah, it's I think that's just a typo in Will's letter. It's definitely Mount Pleasant Drive.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right, well, thank you very much. I guess we'll see you in February.
Yep. I made a motion to continue this.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor from Stu, seconded by Arthur. Going to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
yes,
All right, unanimous. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Good night.
Okay. All right. Item number 6 on the agenda is also under certificates of compliance. It's a request for a partial certificate of compliance as made by Frederick Hostrup from Neptune Engineering on behalf of 160 Main Street Realty LLC, Nikolai Polinovsky, for DEP file number 55-793. Project was the development of a previously graded site for commercial and residential use. The address is known as 166 Main Street, map 86, lot 150 in Peabody. Oh, can't hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry about that.
There you
Thank
go.
you everybody for having us here tonight. The owner and I met with virtually with Will Politz and Lucia in October, and to go over discrepancies and deviations from the proposed development and versus the as-built. And tonight, Attorney Myhos is going to go through the bulleted items that were generated as a result of that discussion that Will Politz asked us to address, as well as Lucia, to go over what's been completed as we, in order to meet our request for a partial certificate of occupancy. So if you could turn the floor over to Mr. Myhos.
I have promoted everyone that was in the waiting room to panelist. I think D. Fenn, is that Attorney Myhos? So he should be able to, do whatever he wants, unmute himself. Right now it is muted.
All right.
Am I all right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. John Myhos, representing 160 Main Street Realty. We're looking for a partial certificate of compliance. We have met with, my client has met with Will Politz and with Lucia. I think the recommendation will be for the issuance of that. I received a memo from Will Pollitt this afternoon, and I spoke to him about it. I think you received the same memo. We've complied with everything on that. You have that memo in front of you?
I can bring it up. Give me 1 second. Oh, this is not it. This is an old memo. Hold on.
Okay,
Is that the
Bear
one?
with- This is it. Here it is. I have so many memos for this.
Hmm.
Here we go. This is today.
I met with Will and I spoke to him on the phone. That is me with a person on the phone, and number one, water sewer trenches need to be repaired and interfed heated. We have a contract to have that done. He's fully aware and we're in compliance. The grass strip, which is within your purview, we had some discussion. I talked with Lucia this afternoon. I think that she has talked to my client, and it's going to be, when the growing weather complies, which is sometime in June, they've agreed to go out there and do that. Installation of brickwork along the front sidewalk, that's being complied with. That's a car ran into the side of the building. They're fixing that up. He's had talk with a car contractor. He knows that. Water meters, that is being resolved. We requested it to be brought down. Will has interceded. That's going to be done. Question of contract shall provide ties for installed water services. We sent that over to him this afternoon. He acknowledged that. And then the project is subject to removing 200%. It comes out to $30,000. That's part and parcel. That's why we're before you get a partial release, so that the bank will finance that in accordance with release the funds in accordance with mortgage, with a partial release from you, your board, would allow that to happen. And that would be completed. The question number 7, disposal of soils. I sent over a copy of a bank check to the city of Peabody this afternoon for $32,000 for the removal of the hazardous waste in compliance with their rules. And that's been done. So when I spoke to Will this afternoon. He felt that it should be recommended that a partial release be issued. I had a discussion with Lucia. I think she's on the same level insofar as Will is. I have the engineer here, my client's here, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
If I may, through the chair,
Go ahead.
I just got the memo from Will. It's dated today, the 20th, and it says very clearly the remaining items need to be completed. And what I think I heard was that they are either sent over, talked about, will be done, but they're not all necessarily completed. The other question I have is item 6. There's a monetary payment of $30,000. Is that the same $30,000 that you claimed you sent the check over for in item 7?
No, it's
a different 30,000.
I'm not hearing.
I can't. Or it went.
sorry. It's a different 30,000. The item for number 6 is being funded through the bank based on receiving a partial certificate of occupancy.
And
So we understand we can't get the full occupancy until all these items are completed, but we're looking for a partial, so in part so we can pay this additional money to the city.
is that the only, if we give you the partial, is it only for that item? And the rest of the items will have to be completed?
So we will upon receipt of the partial, we will still have to complete items 1 through 4 and number 6. But number 4 is just a matter also of once we have the partial, it's sort of a chicken and the egg with the water meter. We basically need the certificate of occupancy before we can go to the water meter to get that installed and inspected. So number 3 was result of an automobile accident that resulted in an automobile hitting the building, and so that now needs to be restored. The other items that had been originally addressed as deviations from our plan between the as-built and proposed, including granite curbing along the sidewalk, installation of sidewalks along the sides east and north of the building, have all been completed.
So, you know who's gonna be occupying the building? And what the use is?
The first floor is commercial with parking underneath, and then the upper 2 floors are residential.
Residents, you said?
I know Nick and John are on, but I don't know whether or not they have a tenant yet for those spaces, or if they can have a lease signed, given they don't have a certificate of occupancy yet.
So there's no food establishment?
Correct. And that is, if a food establishment was ever going to go in, part of their requirement would be to have that installed as part of their lease.
Can they do that once the building's done?
Do we know the zoning for this parcel?
I know it was originally, there's certainly a bakery right next door on one side. So I would assume this is part of a, that food establishments would be part of that, allowed in that area.
It is a BC zoning district.
Is that business commercial?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could be residential with a special permit.
But they don't have the special permit?
Well, it would require one, but they
don't have it.
They don't have it yet because it's the Conservation Commission first, and maybe ZBA, other boards. That would be the last thing.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you want a partial compliance, certificate of compliance so you can pay the city $30,000 and you can get your water meter project done?
Correct.
And we need proof that all the other items on the list are completed and approved by Will Pollitt. And I'm not even sure if the planning board has to approve it as well. And for us to give you the full certificate of compliance.
Be heard. Now because I've been locked out, I haven't been able to speak.
Oh,
John Miles for the petitioner. Hello?
hello.
You can hear me. I couldn't hear you before.
Yeah, can you speak up a little bit? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm having trouble on myself.
Okay.
Okay, so the special permit has already been issued by the city council of the city of Peabody. insofar as a dual use,
Okay,
residential and commercial. So far as, and we couldn't even get through to you. That's why I wasn't able to talk to you. We were locked out. So any other questions? I didn't hear the other questions you may have had. If you could direct them to me so I can respond, I'd appreciate it.
I was saying that the $30,000, that on item 7, you need a partial certificate of compliance so you can pay the $30,000 and get your water services installed. All right. And
Exactly. It's part and parcel of the mortgage from the bank. Exactly right.
Yeah, but that still leaves items 1, 2, 3,
Okay. So I can respond to that, all right?
5. They're still there and they have to be done.
Water sewer trenches need to be repaired. We submitted to Will Paulus this afternoon. And by the way, I talked to Will Paulus. He said his recommendation would be to allow this partial, I think the Lucia can respond to that also. The water sewer trenches need to be repaired and heat treated. We responded to him with a contract, and I'm holding the money in escrow. Proposed grass strip on the easterly side of the building needs to be installed. We agreed to do that, and I think that I talked to Lucia this afternoon. They're going to go out there and make sure it's done in the growing season. It's not, right now, it's not going to be able to address. But that's grass strip. We'll take care of that. The installation of brickwork along the front sidewalk needs to be completed. As my client stated, or the biologist stated, that the engineer stated, that was as a result of somebody, an automobile hitting the side work. We've talked to Will, that's going to be addressed. That's not a major deal. Water meters need to be inspected and accounted and established. That was being held up by the amount of money we owed, which I have sent over to Will Paulus, a bank check in the amount of $31,000 to the city of Peabody, which he has a copy of it. He acknowledged that to me. He's not here obviously this evening, but for my representation, I can make that available to you. That is being discussed. It's being addressed. We owe the money, up to the $31,000. There's an additional $30,000 that's going to be owed because of the I&I from your requirements as far as the residential use of the aspect of it, and that is going to be addressed by the bank on the issuance of this partial certificate. And we've met all the other requirements of the building department, which is dependent upon your issuance of this partial certificate. And you're guaranteed, because partial certificate is only a partial certificate, you need a full certificate to comply with the bank, mortgage documents, etc. So we respectfully request that you issue this partial certificate, and we request that I had discussion with Lucia, which this afternoon, I think her recommendation will be the same, and Will Paulus' recommendation is the same. So if you have any questions, hopefully I can answer them. And as I stated, we were in the dark, and I was not able to get through. Thing was cut off. So I apologize for that, but it was not within my control.
Okay, so the other items, 1 through 5, or 1 through 4, would be done, looks like, when the weather looks better, perhaps.
That's correct.
We're going to put grass in now. What is the status of the sidewalk?
Sidewalks have been done.
It says brickwork.
No, let me rephrase that. I'm not an expert in this. My client can respond to that. I think that there's some sort of, explain to
the brick were fixed and done by original plans. Will Paulus checked it. So the only thing missing, they have to put some sand in between those pavers, but it's require use of water. So they're waiting just for good weather to put like sand in between those pavers. Other than that, the sidewalk is matching like property next door, the old video store, and a bakery. We use the same type of pavers, same color, and same pattern. Everything
And
is
Will
complete.
told me he has no problem with it. He understands about the weather.
Well, is the sidewalk usable? Is it safe to
Yes.
walk on now?
Yes, the sidewalk is usable as a sidewalk. It is usable.
The question of aesthetics more than safety.
Okay. Okay.
Are we gonna, if we issue a partial tonight, you guys will be able to pay the $30,000, or we'll accept the $30,000 in the check that you say Will has. I still wouldn't want to see a letter from Will saying that all these things have been done and he's approved them before we issue a full certificate of compliance.
I have no problem with that because I think even from my discussion with him,
Okay.
the only thing is I'm relating to you. I have pressure on me, not on me, but on my client for the bank, insofar as our contractual obligations to the bank. So, I mean, if it can be done within a couple of days, that's fine. But I mean, waiting for the next meeting would put us in a total disadvantage, put a lot of burden on my client, and I don't know what the ramifications would be of that. That's why we're before you this evening. So we respectfully request some action on it this evening and at least make it subject to some sort of I already sent the $31,000 copy of the $31,000 check over to Will, so he knows he has that. And the other one is, we just received that, the I&I and the 30,000. So that's part and parcel of the bank's obligations, release the funds. So we respectfully request partial compliance that we're requesting this evening. And then you obviously have that hanging over our heads if we don't comply.
Yeah, and like you said, before you would issue the full, we would meet all of those items.
Exactly.
Okay. Does anybody have any further questions on this?
No, 1 second.
Through the chair, I just want to point out, I definitely had a conversation with Will Politz today, and me and him were both in agreement. Him on, the engineering side, me on the wetland side. We would both agree that they have done enough work on this site to issue a partial certificate of compliance if the commission so wishes to vote that way. If you did, I do want to point out, and I've already talked to Nikolai about this as well. I don't know if you guys remember, I am going to share my screen again. There was supposed to be, if I can find it, of course I can't find it. I must have closed it out. But if you look at the as-built, I don't know if anyone has it right in front of them right now.
I do.
But right next to Strongwater Brook, it says gravel and brush. You see it's a triangle strip and it's pointing gravel and brush. It's right next to Strongwater Brook, the granite block canal wall.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see if I can maybe share my screen.
If you want to turn my screen on, I can put it on my screen if you don't have it up.
I think I just found it. Hold on. I'm having like so many issues tonight. 166 Main.
160.
There we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having so many issues right now. My computer. Sorry. So see right here?
Yeah.
Yep.
It says gravel and brush. This was actually supposed to be a riverfront enhancement area. There is supposed to be proposed red maples, proposed bearberry at a 1 foot on center, 4 proposed box elders. That was shown on a plan with a final revision of March 30th, 2015. Nikolai understands that this work has to get done before a full certificate. This was supposed to be the riverfront enhancement area. But at this point, when I was working with him in October, it got to the point where we had a frost and he probably could have planted, but he probably would have wasted a lot of his money. So I asked that he waited. So if you are going to issue a partial tonight, I would suggest that you add the condition that the O&M is in perpetuity for whatever reason, in case we all forget about, this file. The O&M at least is in perpetuity forever, and that they must come back in the spring of 2021 to finish up the riverfront enhancement area per the original plans.
You okay with that?
We have no objection to that.
Okay.
None at all.
All right. So, let's try to move this along. I would be in favor of issuing a partial certificate subject to, what we talked about, coming back and getting items 1 through 4 and 5 finished. And when the weather is permitted to vegetate and plant that gravel and brush area, as Lucia had stated. So they can have their partial certificate and get this thing moved along. But they would need to come back for a full certificate soon, I hope. I'm hoping that once you get the partial certificate, that I would say sometime during the spring when things are growing and you get that thing planted, I hope to see you back for a full certificate at that time.
9/10.
Okay. So based on that, do I have a motion to issue a partial certificate?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bruce.
Did you guys want to add those 2 conditions, or did you just want a partial?
No, add those
End
conditions.
the conditions, yeah.
Okay, the O&M in perpetuity, and the plantings must be done in the spring of 2021. And Nikolai knows that if I don't hear from him by June 1st, I will be bothering him. So I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
yes,
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, moving along to item number 7, discussion items. Essex County Greenbelt report on conservation restriction for 2020 monitoring report at 259 Linfield Street for Eastman Golf-White. Report dated 12/2/20. Inspection visit on November 5th of 2020. Does anyone want to discuss that? Relative to,
I don't really know enough about it.
Is this where the YMCA is?
yeah,
Yeah.
It happens every year, and this was the first year because of COVID. I had time to start my video. I had time to meet the gentleman out there. When I was out there, the guy who lives in this house right here, there's obviously, just little bits of things happening that someone told them that they should rake the forest. So they've been in there raking the forest, which they definitely don't need to rake it. But this right here, this guy opened up the wall. It is a historic wall. And I was just like, did you get planning board permission for this? So, it's just little thing. This is like a bocce court or something that's been there for a very long time. I don't think anyone, is anyone going to really care that the Boy Scouts are using, right here, this is where Boy Scouts camp and stuff. I don't have any issues with anything. Maybe this area down here, they never pulled a permit to build these sheds, but everything looked fine. It didn't seem like there was anything harmful. Everything's been here for years.
So there's no change in use of the property, and is it active open space? Is that how?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. If you haven't been back there, I think right here, this is, you can walk this, and I think this comes out to Summit Street, I think. So this is the Y, and this is Linfield. This is where like the bocce court is, and the guy who he just has like ladders, you know, he raked it up and kind of tidied it, so he has like an extension of his area. He wasn't like storing anything crazy. Everything could get removed and the stones could go back. I mean, honestly, the stone wall was probably what bothered me the most, but his mom lives like right next door. They've lived in Peabody their whole lives. I mean, I don't really want to give anyone, you know, too much. It's up to you guys. And then back here, this is where the Boy Scouts, they cleared a little bit out here. So there's like a couple picnic tables, and you can just chill in there. There's trails, like the trails start over here, and the Boy Scouts are so cute, or someone labeled them. And then right here is where those sheds were in the picture. And again, you can like walk down here, and it connects like where I think this is like the old railroad tracks, and it's sort of a bike path-ish. And I think it meets out to Summit. I didn't walk down there. But it's a nice little area if you want to get out, if you're nearby.
So, through the chair, Lucia, the sheds are where you have the numbers 7 and 8 on this map. I mean, that's kind of like right in the middle. It's not like along the edge.
Yeah, and this is all wetlands, like this part right here.
Yeah, through the chair, Arthur, I believe that those sheds, if I remember, and I'm going back probably 30 years, before the Y was there, those sheds were there. They were falling apart, rotting sheds. They've been there for years and years and years, and I think somebody just fixed them up, basically. But those sheds have been there for, oh my God, probably 50 years, at least.
So who uses the sheds, and what's
I
in
have no, I don't know. I think it has, maybe the Boy Scouts. I know that they were there when I was in high school, which was in the 70s. So
I used to go to day camp there. When it was the YMCA, I used to belong to I used to go to day camp in the summer there. In those areas back there were this photo on the right there, Lucia. I remember that.
This one?
That looks really kind of unchanged for the 50 years. That looks, as soon as I saw that, I said, that looks like the Y property. So I suppose if it stays like that, it's okay, but I think if people try to change it.
Should maybe like a notice be given to certain people in the area that, you know, not to do anything more?
I mean, that's now conservation land. Is that correct?
Yep, that's why the Essex County Greenbelt, they are basically monitors of it for the city.
So we just got to make sure there's no change in use of the property, and we certainly don't want people taking cutting vegetation and that kind of thing. So probably what's happened where it stands right now looks like it doesn't look like it's a problem, as long as people know they just not to be in there making any more changes.
well, can we put some signage up, or should we talk about maybe what Arthur said? Maybe some signs go up and said, you know, this is a green belt area, and no
dumping.
Yeah, no one was dumping. I didn't see.
It was dumping, right? I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah. So the issue that I sort of have was when we were out there, the guy came out with the broken wall access, and I started asking him questions, and And then he basically said that if he's going to go after the YMCA on illegal stuff they did, and I think it's just going to blow up into this huge snowball that doesn't necessarily need to get started, because it seems like the property is being used what it should be, with minus the guy's ladders. I mean, I can send him an email to tell him to move, or a letter to tell him to move the ladders.
Yeah.
But I don't want to start something with this crazy battle with the neighbors and the YMCA and once COVID's over, the Boy Scouts are going to be back. Right now, it is very quiet. But I think it's really important that this area stays open and the way it is, so we get to continue to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the storage of butters and neighbors, and we need to keep the property natural, and people can't be going in there and removing vegetation and so forth. Not without discussing it or getting a permit, discussing it with the commission.
I mean, I can send a letter to everyone on that street. I know exactly what two houses it were. I mean, the guy literally came out. He saw me out there. His mom called him, and he came out of the other house. And he said he didn't have a problem to move the ladder.
Yeah.
And I kind of explained to him why he shouldn't be raking. But, someone told him on national TV that rake the forest. So I don't know.
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Yeah. That was,
he's going to rake my forest.
He was told by some French governor or something.
But he's going.
I don't think there's any need to make kind of a big deal about it, but people just need to know that it's not theirs to alter or change. It belongs to the city.
So with Lucia, would you send that email out to those folks? Or?
Yep, I can send just a blanketed letter to their house, just explaining, please leave it as it is. If you need something done, a tree removed, please call me and I will get the tree warden out there.
That's good. That'd be good. Okay.
That's it. That's all she wrote. I do not have minutes for you. Oh, actually, 83 Pine. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay, so item number 8 on the agenda is under violations. It's a continued violation at 83 Pine Street. Failure to contact the commission to inspect erosion controls has caused sediment to enter a catch basin, clog a culvert, and alter a resource. Staff is working with the contractor to remedy the situation. Bruce and I met last Thursday, was it?
I think so. Wednesday or Thursday.
Last Wednesday or Thursday, went on site with the developer and met with Pete Ogren, and we walked the area and we saw the area where the pipe is kind of like this silted in. There's some rocks at the outlet pipe up near the end of the parking lot. We came to an agreement that they would basically clear that out, clean it out, with a small, what would they use, Bruce?
They were talking about putting a boom in the stream.
Yeah.
And they were going to use a small excavator to just dig it out.
Yeah.
And they were going to put a boom across the stream just so it wouldn't go downstream.
Right. So they would put the BMPs in ahead of time, and then clean that out, and probably reline that with some stones. And then up at the halfway down the parking lot, there's a structure that's really kind of filled in with asphalt and some other materials in there. They were gonna, I believe that structure is being removed and replaced with a catch basin, a deep sump catch basin.
Correct.
That's gonna tie into the existing on-site, existing drainage for the work that's being done there. And I think, so we all agreed at the site that looked like a good plan. We'd try to do that under maintenance. Is that correct, Bruce?
Correct.
and not need a notice of intent?
No, that's more of a it was, and to be honest, there's so much debris back there that from years of, I mean, there's concrete fencing and, I mean, there's a lot of stuff back there. And they're gonna try to remove some of that too, they said, while they were there.
Yeah, so we had a good meeting. We felt satisfied that they were gonna, make those improvements and correct the condition out there. So,
They made it sound like at the original meeting, I said, well, maybe they get a vac truck. It sounded at the last meeting that it was a way in. And it really, because of the way the field runs and the way they maintain the field, it's on the edge of the field almost.
yeah,
So it's not really in the woods.
That sounds excellent.
yeah. So I don't know what we need to do beyond that, Lucia, is,
Nothing. I didn't issue anything formally. I just sent them an email with what you guys asked me this is like back from like October, I think.
Yeah.
I just sent an email back in October and told them what, and I never issued a violation. I never issued enforcement.
Okay.
Just
they
asked them.
They agreed to everything we said in the field. So I don't know if they're actually done it already or whether they were gonna do that.
No, I went and checked it, what's today, till today's Wednesday. I went and checked it Monday afternoon and they haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
So that it hasn't been done yet. So, but they realized, that and they realized that they had made a big mistake by not putting in the erosion controls or ahead of time. But it was pretty obvious that the catch basin that they're going to be replacing actually had been paved in. It wasn't, there was some erosion in there, but it was actually, somebody had paved it over a long time ago. I couldn't believe it. So I don't know where it originally went to because you couldn't tell, but they are going to be removing that and putting in, like Michael said, a deep sump catch basin.
So can we just, that's it? We don't need to do any more right now.
I believe, and Will Pollitt came to the meeting, but he had to leave.
Yeah.
He was pretty, he was pretty okay with everything. He said,
Yeah, he was satisfied. Will was satisfied. And so are we.
I don't know. Again, I'm through to ask Lucia. I don't know. Is there anything else we need to do?
I mean, I can send them an email and ask them to give an update on the progress. I think
we'd like to be notified. Yeah, I think we'd like to be notified when they're going to do it.
Yeah, if they notified Lucia when they're going to do that, so they have the BMPs in place.
Right.
So Lucia can go down there, see that they get the boom going across the stream there or the outlet area, and then once Lucia's satisfied that that's been cordoned off, they can proceed and do what they were going to do.
Yeah, I would actually like to see that email go up pretty quick. If you can do that pretty quickly, Lucia, just send them, And again, you weren't at the meeting, so you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. But what Michael said, they were going to put erosion controls in there, and then they were going to put a boom across the stream, do the work, and basically that's all they really needed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I can. As soon as I log off, once we end the meeting, I will send them an email, and I will copy you guys.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Enforcement orders. Number 9 comes under enforcement orders. This is an enforcement order issued to Dan Ruiz for the property known as 44 Bartholomew Street. Alleged violation is bringing multiple truckloads of fill onto the site. Buffer zone and resource areas were altered. A valid order of condition has never been issued for said work. And we continue this until till when? The spring?
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
determined.
I'll probably I'll touch base with the wetland scientist probably the early May and just see how everything's going.
Okay. Very good. Then other than that, do we have to vote on that continuance? No, it's already been,
You guys
Yeah.
already motioned.
it's already
to-
established.
Yeah.
And, no minutes right now, so I think that would be, I think that covers it today. If anybody is all set and doesn't have any more comments, then I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second that.
Second by everybody?
Yeah.
And go ahead and do a roll
Wait,
call.
second.
8:14, Amanda motion to close, seconded by Stu. 8:14, Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comac,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Very
Good
good.
night, everyone. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. All right,
Keep
thank you.
healthy.
Right.
Thanks, PAT.
A lot of vitamin D.
Yeah.